Speaking of fun, let's just stay in the same state, Shane. I know this won't be fun for you, but all of a sudden, the Egg Bowl, Shane, is a battle for the second place spot in the SEC West because a Mississippi State Bulldogs, Shane, went on the road, stunner, 43-34 over the Auburn Tigers. Not necessarily a stunner that Mississippi State won. I mean, hell, I picked it. I did, but getting down 28-3, being completely dominated the first half. We saw friend of the show, Bo Bounds, one of his tweets was great. It was like, man, Mississippi State fans will forgive a lot, but they won't forgive quitting and this defense we're showing. And then the defense locked down in the second half. Mississippi State caught fire. Will Rogers, 92% completion percentage in the second half, and they could not be stopped. 6 touchdowns, biggest comeback in Mississippi State history. Second time they've actually done that this season, had the biggest comeback in school history. And now all of a sudden Auburn, who about a month ago they were looking like the hottest team in the country, coach of the year candidate, they're crumbling at the seams. Shane, Bo Nix reportedly broke an ankle, so you got to assume he's done for the season, if that is accurate. And I don't know where we're going here for the Auburn Tigers, but I know if you're the Mississippi State, man, you have got to be fired up about this epic Egg Bowl here in 2 weeks that you get to host this season.
Absolutely, man. Bo Nix with he broke my heart. That's what happened in this game, Mike. I mean, the first half of this thing, I was crowning him, man. I was sending the tweets out. I was counting my money already. I was an Auburn fan, man. I was singing the fight song with him and everything. So, but then that second half comes around, and it was just like, I don't know. I don't want to say they gave up. They made so many stupid, boneheaded mistakes in the second half. And credit to Mississippi State for not giving up, because you see a lot of these teams, when you get down 2-3 scores, it's easy to fold up your chairs and head to the house. But Mississippi State had so much fight in them, man. And once they got that momentum going, they shut the crowd noise out, and it was over, man. You could not stop. Will Rogers, I don't even think he threw an incompletion in the second half, man.
Yeah, look at the stats here, Shane. First half, so it was 28-10 at halftime. Auburn was up. Mississippi State, 33 points in the second half to Auburn 6. Let's give credit to that Mississippi State defense. They did their part as well. And, this was the defense here early was looking like a huge red flag. This was, the same Mississippi State that was giving up huge explosive plays early in the season. They kind of resurfaced in this one. I mean, Auburn was just having their way. Let's give credit to Kobe Hudson. He had some great one-handed grabs. Bo Nix was making all these plays. And, it looked like he was, once again, I tweeted out, man, Heisman Bo showed up. Well, bench Bo showed up in the second half. You know what I mean? So this is just, and these Auburn fans, they're saying Mike Bobo only comes with half a playbook. Derek Mason can't make adjustments. I mean, they're like out on these guys. I know it's just burning off some.
Hell, I'm out on him, Mike. I mean, I stopped watching the game, and I kept seeing those eyes emoji. Mike would send me an eye emoji, and he would say Mississippi State, and then all of a sudden be like, oh my God, they blocked a field goal. And I was like, Mike, I'm trying not to pay attention to this game, because I can feel my money coming back out of my wallet, But
yeah, and at one point I texted Shane, M-S-U, and he texted me back, F-U.
Oh, I hate it, man, because here you got an Auburn team similar. It's like poor man Texas A&M, man. They just they have these momentum. They're up and down, man. They're a roller coaster. The fans don't know what they have, and they don't know what they're going to have moving forward. But that was kind of like Bo, Do we have good Bo this week? Do we have bad Bo this week? Well, this time we got both in the first half. Now, granted, he was playing on a broke ankle, so I mean, you got to factor that in. But hell, this staff and this training, they should have done something. And it just felt like, what does this team look like moving forward? Because of all this offense that was generated, like you think of the best games that Auburn's had this year, a lot of that had to do with Bo's legs, man, and improvising and making something out of nothing. I mean, TJ doesn't offer that, man. We called him Tank for a reason. Mm-hmm. So what does Auburn look like moving forward? Or is there any chance that you see them competing with a team like Alabama? Because I guess it don't matter now. Texas A&M lost. Let's just say moving forward. What does Auburn do moving forward?
Now, yeah, to answer your question, it is at home. Crazy things happen on the plains, but if good Auburn shows up, I think they can beat anybody. But I think that's the most frustrating part. It's not like this is some inept team that's got issues everywhere. They couldn't get to Will Rogers. That was a huge issue. But, that's the SEC West, brother. And, just, what was it, 2 weeks ago, we're sitting here saying Auburn controls their destiny. They can go to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. If they lose to Alabama, Shane, and things, it would take a big upset. I think Arkansas would have to beat Alabama or maybe even they just beat Missouri. But Auburn could be sitting here looking at a 6th place finish in the SEC West after, again, 2 weeks ago, controlling their own destiny. And that's not to say that Auburn's some horrible team. The point I'm trying to make is just the SEC West is a gauntlet, and all these teams right now are bunched together. Auburn's currently 5th after being 2nd, again, just a couple weeks ago. So, man, this is a tough spot. Now it looks like you're going to be relying on TJ Finley, who, he won you the Georgia State game, but he also left LSU for a reason, and it's not like LSU's looking like gangbusters either. So I don't know how much confidence I have in the Auburn Tigers to beat Alabama at this point.
No, I have none. I have zero confidence right now, man. In fact, I don't know. Short of South Carolina, this is their teams they got coming up. They got South Carolina and they've got Alabama. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're going to get that one win, I would imagine, against South Carolina. But you mess around with the Gamecocks, you've seen it, man. Of course, we're going to talk about their sloppy play here in a minute. So I don't want to pump them up too much, but I think Auburn is. It just sucks. You go, you like I said, you buy in, you get pumped up for them again. They go out, they beat a good Arkansas team, they beat a good Ole Miss team, and then they just drop these 2 games back to back, and now you don't have a quarterback. It's just, I don't know. I'm not discouraged if I'm an Auburn fan, because if I told you at the beginning of the game or beginning of the season you could have 7 wins, I think you'd be happy with that, especially with first-year coach. But the fact that you could have had 8-9 wins during the season, knowing that, and there was a lot of people that had that date circled, man, that Iron Bowl, that this was going to be a competitive game. And I'm not saying it isn't. I mean, it's at Auburn, so you never know. But I tell you what, they're going to have to game plan. I don't know, man. They're just going to have to throw everything out and start all over. You got a tune-up game with South Carolina coming up. I think you can win it. But you got to get TJ right if you expect to make that Iron Bowl a game.
Mike, in the Louisiana Tech game, you kind of called out your team for quitting when you guys had the 20-point deficit. What is it about this team now that, when they're faced a 25-point deficit, they don't kind of shy away?
I think practice, as odd as it sounds, just practice. We've done it a couple times. We've gained some experience from what it's like when you do battle back and what it's like when you don't. And so I was very proud of the effort there, and I was proud that there weren't a bunch of guys looking for the door and trying to act like it didn't matter very much and going through the motions, all that, back in the good old days. And this is way before me, the losers limp or any of that. We didn't do any of that. And I thought at halftime it was very important to get on track. Really just mentally. It wasn't anything, dramatic X and O changes or anything. Just mentally, I thought as a team we got on track.
You mentioned the success that Auburn's offense had in the first half. What do you feel your defensive unit did in the second half to kind of settle them down?
We're just kind of letting a guy go free, not really affecting the quarterback. Their running back does a great job as far as, after first contact. And it's the darndest thing. I don't know who the best running back in the league is, but he might be. Not a real big guy, strong as an ant. And then, let's see what he did. Yeah, I'll tell you, well, that guy, Tank Big. He's got a quality where when he gets the ball, it's almost like he sort of backpedals while holding his balance and waits till he can sort of come off and find a crease. I mean, just because you hit him and he's supposed to go down, that guy, he just doesn't go down. So we did a better job finishing the play the second half.
And a quick follow-up to that: How does Mike Leach celebrate a win like that? What are you going to be doing tonight to celebrate a big victory for you in this program?
I'm going to get on a bus, and I'm going to ride for 4 hours to Starkville, Mississippi. Now, okay, the bus, it'll be with friends and good people and coaches and teammates. So that part will be outstanding. However, now those of you that have never been to Starkville, Mississippi, you don't even remotely have the fragment of an idea what you're missing, what Starkville, Mississippi will be like tonight. Now, it does take 4 hours to get there, and I will try to fill my time with everything from, well, I might have a Chick-fil-A sandwich. I might even, those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that they press them together and throw them in a little plastic bag. I might have 1 or 2 of those because I got up early this morning, so I didn't eat much. So I might eat that. And then somewhere in that 4 hours, providing the Wi-Fi works, which I have some doubts, and then I'll try to watch this entire game, evaluate it, and get kind of a head start on the next one. Because, if you think this was a thriller, we got a big one next week, and we're looking forward to that one.
Brian, you talked about the difference between the two halves. With Will Rogers, he was, 50% in the first half, passing the ball. Then in the second half, he was, I think, 24-26 passing the ball for 271 yards. What do you think was the difference between the first half and the second half and his production and the defense for Auburn?
Well, he played well. Those stats are, different, obviously, than in the two halves. So like I told you, it's kind of a tale of two halves. We played well early on, thought we got a little bit of pressure on him, probably in a little bit better position in some of our coverages. We had penalties that extended drives. And so, all those things were not in our favor from that standpoint. We still had chances to make plays. And, the wide receivers are a part of that too, and the protection's part of that. So the second half adjustments in what we were doing wasn't good enough. And they were able to capitalize on that type of performance from their quarterback, and it kept those guys on the field. That's what they do. They throw the ball. So we have to be able to defend that, get off the field, and get off the field on third downs. They were 50% on third downs, and we didn't do a good enough job of that. So bottom line is we got to cover better, and we got to be in better position. And then some of those penalties that extended drives, we had chances to get off the field, and there were some penalties that extended their drives, and they continued to move the ball down the field, and they had momentum. And like I said before, you got to find a way to capture that momentum and get it back. And we weren't able to do that enough in the second half.
Hey, Brian, you guys were able to move the ball pretty effectively on the ground in the first half, but what changed in the second half that made it so difficult for you guys to establish the run?
I don't know. There were some things they did. They made adjustments. I don't know if it was one thing in particular that they did. Probably had to do more with us than anything. And one of the things that we were doing well, we were throwing the ball well. We had some good throws down the field. We made some plays and had some explosives, which was good. We didn't have that the previous game, and that was positive for us, especially early on. We didn't have enough of those in the second half. But as far as the run game goes, I think there were things that we did. There were some assignment errors in there. There were things that they were doing. So it just wasn't consistent enough at the end of the day. That's really what it comes down to. We didn't run it effectively in the second half because we weren't consistent, and they made some adjustments. But every team we play does that. They make adjustments, we make adjustments, and I just don't think that we executed well in the run game in the second half like we could, and took advantage of some of the things like we did in the first half. And so that goes back to really just us being consistent in our execution and continuing on what we did in the first half and the second half. that didn't show up. So we'll look at the tape tonight, and we'll know more of the details of why, but that's what I felt like as the game went on.
Yeah, and I did, just to tease that South Carolina game quickly, Shane, once that Bo Nix news came out, South Carolina fans, they're like, man, just our luck. Bo Nix is out for the game. Of course, Bo Nix, cost Auburn the game against South Carolina last season. So